Massive bird flu outbreak across the U.S. is causing an egg shortage. The outbreak has wiped out about a third of the egg-laying flock in Iowa, and that is the biggest egg-producing state. As a result, wholesale prices of some eggs have tripled, and that extra cost, guess who gets to pay that? Me and you. With us now, supermarket guru Phil Lempert. Phil, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here, my friend. So I can't get over these numbers. So a carton of egg, national average now, $2.03. I pay more here, but that's the national average, up 70%. And some people say that consumers will pay an additional $7.5 billion because of this egg supply squeeze. What do you make of these prices? Is this unprecedented?
It is. Wholesale egg prices are higher than ever before, Gerri. That's number one. Number two, keep in mind that we're talking about we've lost about 10% of the total U.S. hen-laying population, and there's no end in sight. We don't have figured out what's going on with avian bird flu. It's predicted that it is going to get worse, that there are going to be more hens, and also it's not just hens. We're talking turkeys, we're talking ducks, we're talking about any bird.
Any bird, and I have to tell you, the numbers to me are astonishing. But here's my real worry, Phil, is that we're going to import more and more and more of this fowl to our shores from China. I just am really worried that the food that's going to be in my supermarket is going to be subpar.
And you should be. Keep in mind that the reason that it's suspected that avian flu is here has to do with imported birds coming here. So this is not a U.S. problem. And also, let's not forget, you mentioned earlier about the whole breakfast sandwich. Fast food represents about $35 billion as it relates to breakfast. It's also about 25% of McDonald's sales. So McDonald's can't increase their prices. They're fighting Taco Bell and breakfast as it begins. McDonald's is already in trouble. Here's something else to put them in trouble. And probably, you know, the egg producers are throwing up their hands because they're saying, you know, when the new dietary guidelines came out, finally the government said, oh, you don't have to worry about cholesterol. Go back to eating eggs. They were all smiles. Now they're just sitting there saying, oh, no, we can't even supply the eggs that people want.
I forgot all about that. Finally, eggs are okay with the federal government, and you can't buy one for love or money. Okay, so you mentioned before the egg-laying flock out there is down 10%. That's 32 million egg-laying hens, and they are destroying these flocks all over the country. Does this have anything to do with the fact that these farms have gotten fewer and fewer and bigger, millions of hens on individual farms, individual companies?
Well, that's not what created the avian flu problem, but certainly that exacerbates it. If you just had a whole bunch of smaller farms and it was on one small farm, then you could probably contain it. But to your point, we have a lot more factory farms than ever before. So if it hits one of these factories, you're talking about losing a lot of laying hens very quickly.
Here are the numbers I've seen. In the 1970s, we had something like 10,000 egg farms. Today, we have 200 egg companies. That's a big change, and it seems to me if one bird gets sick at one of these companies, so many more are at risk, right?
Well, yes and no. Keep in mind that while there might just be 200 companies, each of those companies might be using 10 or 100 different farms that are independently owned. So we've really got to go a little deeper into the numbers to figure out that problem. But to your point, you know, if you've got one problem and then it exacerbates throughout a whole bunch of farms and companies, you've got a big, huge problem on our hands, and we do.
And Phil, I'm a big fan of eggs. I love eggs. It's a great source of protein. Eat them all the time. When is this thing going to be over, Phil?
No one knows. That's the problem. And also, and I hate to point a finger at the government, but when you look at the U.S. government, they don't have enough food inspectors out there. It's been understaffed for probably 10, 15 years. So while we have this problem, there's not enough experts out there trying to solve it. So that's the other dilemma that we're facing.
Well, not enough experts. Is that what you're saying? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. It's Friday before a holiday. Phil, have a great weekend, my friend.
Thank you. You too, Gerri.